Now, when it comes to putting new wedges in my bag, I'm looking for a number of different things. I want versatility around the greens. I want consistency off the club face. I also want a good amount of spin control with feel, and I want a price that's not going to break my bank. Well, in today's video, we're looking at Rife's new wedges, the SC S1 wedges. We've got a number of different options, so let's get into it in this video. Now, I've got to say that when Rife contacted me about doing a review on their wedges, I thought, hang on a minute, Rife, well, that's a putter company. I didn't know they actually did wedges, but as it turns out, they actually do wedges. And today is the first day that I'm getting them out onto the golf course to get a bit of a feel of them. And I mentioned things like versatility, and versatility for me is all about the soul of the club, and that's something we're going to have a little look at, is what options that we've got when it comes to the sole, but not only the sole but the bounce as well, and how the club is going to interact with the ground, because we've got so many different types of shots that we've got to play around the greens, whether it's a full shot, whether it's coming out of a bunker, or whether it's just a basic kind of chip and run like this one. Now, two options available when it comes to the grinds on these particular wedges. We've got the C grind and we've got the S grind. The S grind being kind of more like their standard grind with a little bit of edge taken off that back rail, whereas the C grind, now this is something that's kind of cut out a little bit more. We've got that back edge just taken off, but we've also got a little bit taken out the heel and a little bit taken out the toe. This is going to enable us to be able to maneuver that club just really quite nicely. That S grind leaning back, leaning forward, playing it a little bit more straight face, whereas the C grind, with that edge taken off as well, is going to allow us to be able to stand that club up, lay that handle down, do all those things that we're looking for versatility around the greens. And you got to think, to go into all the different grinds that are available on the market, going to cost an awful lot of money. So with Rife focusing on these two particular grinds, I think really is a great start. A couple of other things to notice is we've got a stainless steel finish on this particular lineup of wedges. That's going to help with the rusting of the wedges over time. And we've also got like a precision milled when it comes to the actual grooves themselves. This is going to help with, well, when you say about milling, we're going to focus on maybe control or soft feel off the face, but also to stop, let's say, the churning up of golf balls. There's nothing worse than putting a fresh new set of wedges in and they start then ripping up your golf balls. So we're looking for something that's going to give us a nice amount of feel, and I think we're going to get that when it comes, well, first couple of shots that I've hit with them are beautiful off the face, not a great deal of difference from what I'm getting, let's say, compared to a wedge that I would find from maybe a more expensive lineup or a company that you're going to kind of more likely to run to when it comes to wedges. So all in all, first impressions off the face, I'm getting a good amount of spin or control, but I'm also getting a really nice feel. Now, first look on the website, we've got a few different options when it comes to the actual loft and bounce on these particular wedges. The ones that I'm testing out today, I've got a 56, a 52 and a 60, and then bounce options. We've kind of got like your standard, which is 8 degrees, we've got 10 degrees, and we've got 12 degrees, but double check on the website because sometimes they may not make a certain lineup of loft in that particular bounce. But we do have, from a loft point of view, 48, 52, 56, and 60 that I can certainly see myself. Now, from a look down by the ball, I'm getting a slightly different look out of the 60 degree wedge than I am to, let's say, the 56 and 52 that I've got in my bag today. The 60 is a full face. So what I mean by full face is we've got grooves that run all the way from the heel right the way to the toe of the club itself. And I've got to say, I'm actually quite a fan of this, and I would like to see it more in certainly lob wedges, bunker clubs, because even though I've just played a really quite nice shot out of that bunker there, can you see where I've kind of impacted it, which is a little bit, well, centre towards toe, but you can see that the way in which that ball has kind of gone up the face, it's kind of gone across from centre up towards this kind of toe area. And I actually think that's going to work so well for lots of golfers, because when I look at wedges, when I'm coaching people, I see a lot of wear areas, certainly on their bunker clubs, more out towards the toe. And I'm certainly one of those players. So having those grooves over onto that sort of toe side of the club, I just think that's going to work so well. So a tick for me when it comes to Rife, thinking a little bit outside the box and getting those full face grooves on their lob wedge. Now, I mentioned feel earlier, and people think about feel, they think about what does it feel like actually from a strike point of view off the face. Well, I also want you to think about what it feels like as that kind of club works more into the grass or into the ground, depending on what type of striker you are. If you're somebody that tends to, let's say, dig into that shot or catch a little bit heavy or even take a bit of a divot, then having something with a little bit more bounce is certainly going to work for you quite nicely. But that's also going to match in quite nicely with the feel, because feel is also what it feels like as it kind of works in and out of the grass itself. For me personally, I like something with, certainly in the 56, which is kind of my favourite wedge in the bag, I want something with lots of bounce on it. I don't want to be having something that's got a very little amount of bounce, because what happens is that club digs in a little bit too much, and then I get all sorts of, well, I get into trouble, but I really do start to lose the feel in and out of the ground, which is, again, massively important. But for those players that kind of sweep it, you're going to see or hear that club bounce into the ground, and that is not a nice sound when you're coming through into impact. So thinking about what bounce you're in, thinking about how you interact with the ground, just as important as the feel off the face. So a couple of other components that I want to talk about is grip, what offering that you've got when it comes to the grips on these clubs, but also what shaft options are available, and then kind of shelf appeal. You know, first impressions I think are huge. So what does it kind of look like as you pick it up off the shelf, and also what does it look like when you set it up behind the ball? Now, when I first picked this club up, you could almost mistake it for being a Titleist Vokey wedge. You've got that little kind of tiny strip that runs across the top here. All in all, first impressions, I kind of like the look of it. I think it oozes a little bit of class. I like the fact that they've got that sticker on the bottom that tells you what kind of sole you're using, but you've also got it down the side there, and on the toe end you've got your loft and your bounce options available there. So when you're picking up the clubs, make sure you get the right specs for you. Then when we look into the shaft, it says that we've got a wedge flex. Now, I don't know what that wedge flex is. It says it's made in China, so I wouldn't say that we've got the most expensive shaft in here. But from a grip point of view, we've got a crossline lambkin 360, so you're able to sort of move that around a little bit if you want to, depending on the type of shot that you've got in front of you. So all in all, not bad. First impressions as well from a look on top, well, I actually really like the look of this particular wedge. It's a rounded, more kind of pear-shaped wedge, and then when you move into the 60, well, then you've got that kind of more higher toe type of look, which I think works quite nice with that full face groove. So all in all, first impressions, quite impressed. Let's have a go with the 52. I've put us out here at around 110 yards, because that pin's tucked in on the back there. And I talked about feel around the greens off the club face, and we're talking now about the shaft itself. I just want to get a sense of what this actually feels like when we hit a couple of fuller shots into the greens here. I'll put a little shot tracer up so you can see exactly where the ball is heading. Ball's way above my feet, so it's going to move a little bit from right to left. I mean, I talked about feel around the greens, as in just chipping. I've not felt anything, I don't know if you can hear that, but I've not felt anything really different there to what I would use, let's say, from previous wedges like Vokeys or the Mizunos that I've got in the bag right now. So first impressions, oh, really good. There's that little bit of draw, that'll get a little bit further back there, I think. That's not bad. Yeah, just soft. I don't see these wedges, comparing them up against some of the bigger brands out there, I'm not seeing a huge difference. Well, in fact, no difference, other than just purely looks down by the ball. Push that one a little bit, got a bit squeezy on it. That'll probably kick in. It's not bad. If you look at where these balls have ended up in comparison to that flag there, I mean, you could literally throw a blanket over those golf balls right there. But feel off the face with a full shot, 52-degree wedge, very good. And then finally, I've got to talk about the price. £79 is what I'm getting these wedges for online, which is pretty much half, if not more than half price of what we're getting from other leading manufacturers out on the golf course. And the feel that I'm getting out on the golf course is pretty impressive, considering the price of what these wedges actually are. At £79, would I go out and buy them? I absolutely would go out and buy them, because I'm getting all the versatility that I want from my wedge around the greens. I'm getting plenty of bounce and loft options when it comes to deciding what I'm going to need to set up in my golf bag. So I think it's a massive thumbs up from me when it comes to these Rife wedges. But I'd like to hear down in the comments, would you even consider going out and purchasing a set of Rife wedges at £79 each? I'd like to hear down in the comments. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again on the next video.